Hello, all you weirdos. Jim here, and we got breaking news. I really like that sound effect, and we haven't done this in a while. I haven't done a lot of news stories, so once again, breaking news. Thank you. And this is Punisher news, and I think that a lot of people will be excited about this. I also think there'll be people that will be excited at first, and then will kind of get angry in the back end. But we'll talk about that in a second. The Punisher targets Nick Fury and Garth Ennis, and Jacen Burrows get Fury. That's the headline I'm reading directly from the Marvel press release. This May, legendary storyteller Garth Ennis returns to Marvel Comics in Get Fury, a new 5-issue limited series starring two characters he helped define for the modern age, Nick Fury and Frank Castle. I'll tell you right away, I like when Marvel actually comes clean and says that it's a 5-issue limited series, not playing their games that they often do, where you think something's limited, but it might be ongoing, but then it's limited, but then it's not. I hate that, especially when you're doing podcasts or videos and you want to say, oh, this is just 5 issues, they better get to it. You're like left wondering. Don't like being left wondering. Joining Ennis will be frequent collaborator and superstar artist Jacen Burrows, along with acclaimed artist Dave Johnson for the series covers. Now, I don't know if it's just me. When I see Jacen written Jacen, it throws me off, and I think it's the work of the devil somehow. It's the devil's hand that does that. This trio of talent will pit two of comics' most formidable soldiers against each other in a bold and post-pounding saga set during the Vietnam War. This is where I think that people will, in the back end, say, oh man, like, why can't we have current day, current continuity, Frank Castle back as Punisher? And maybe these are baby steps. Maybe these are things that will end up being the way to get back to having Frank Castle in the current continuity and maybe rescuing from that nonsense that Jason Aaron left him in, and then getting better books than, say, the current Punisher book by David Pepose, which you have Joe Garrison Punisher, something that should never be said in a sentence and is complete garbage. So hopefully this is, again, baby steps. Now we'll continue. In addition to the return of Ennis, the retro series also marks an exciting comeback for Nick Fury and Frank Castle, two iconic characters who have passed on their mantles in present-day continuity. I get the idea that more people are upset about Frank Castle, quote-unquote, passing on the mantle. I think in my mind, Frank is grabbing onto that mantle, saying, you know, my cold, dead hands, that whole deal. But it was wrenched away. It was grabbed away and given to Joe Garrison. Nobody cares. So with this, again, in the press release, is trying to play that game where Marvel doesn't want to come out and say, hey, we know you want Frank Castle, and throw in Nick Fury as well, but not as much as Frank, obviously, and saying, here, this is kind of for you guys and gals that you can enjoy Frank again, but we'll do it in this retro flashback series. It kind of is odd. The Max-rated saga kicks off when Frank is assigned what might be the most dangerous mission of his career, to assassinate Nick Fury. So that's pretty cool. And they'll go into the story here that kind of reminds me of a Vietnam take of Escape from New York, but there's probably better ways to describe it. And probably people will tell me there's better ways, but for some reason, that's what pops in my dummy head. It's 1971, it is. There is a war raging on in Vietnam. Oh, my goodness. And Nick Fury has been captured by the Viet Cong. Oh, God. At this moment, they don't quite understand that they have in their possession a man who knows enough secrets to damage the United States beyond comprehension. Well, it's a good thing they don't know that. The thing is, the CIA does know that. They realize this, and they can't risk their enemy getting those secrets. So they dispatch the most deadly man in the U.S. Army, Lieutenant Frank Castle. And that's kind of a cool little, subterfuge type deal. Oh, my God, they have this guy. Instead of going to save him, we really have to take him out before he lets up these secrets. I would say at the end, maybe Frank Castle will be able to save him. But at this point, let's send Frank in and take care of business. And then that's a cool setup. I think that's really a really cool setup. So we'll see. This is now going to go to some quotes from Garth Ennis. On writing the characters again, Ennis shared. And here's the quote. I would normally try to do a Garth Ennis impersonation, but I don't want to offend anybody, including my man Gray. Here's what he says. There's a nice sense of things coming full circle. with Get Fury. All right. Now, don't expect him to say, hey, you know what, everybody, the current Frank Castle, like nonsense and the Punisher, he's not going to say that. So what is he going to say? He ends up saying it comes full circle because he gets to work with his good friend Nick Lowe editing. Like, you probably could start with something better than that. The idea, we're like, oh man, Frank Castle, oh man, let's hear what he has to say. Oh, he's excited to work with his good friend Nick Lowe? Who handled Bourne back at the beginning some 20 plus years ago. That's the full circle deal. And just like that story, this one sees Frank Castle as a U.S. Marine in Vietnam. In fact, it goes some way to explaining how he ended up at Firebase Valley Forge in the first place. It does it? And that's something thrown in there for longtime fans. I just like Valley Forge because I live near there. As the two most violent men in the mainstream comics, Fury and Frank work well together, just like they did in the Vietnam sequence of Fury, My War Gone By. All in all, if Get Fury turns out to be the last time I write Frank, I think it'll make for a worthy farewell. So that's cool. Some of the latest things by Garth Ennis, because I do like Garth Ennis, but some of the latest things, even the just started James Bond, I didn't love that first issue, but something like a Batman Reptilian, that was not good. But I think that this is, again, back to the thing that he loved doing, one of the things he's known for. So I think it'll be really cool. And I think you're getting a classic Garth Ennis in my mind, it's kind of the, hey, we're sorry with all the crap that's going on with Punisher in the moment, but hey, here you go. Here's your little, prize, I guess. But he says, I never have more fun on a project than I do with Garth. Oh, this actually is the Jacen Burrows. Did I tell you he spells it Jacen? It drives me nuts. Here's his quote. I don't like the way they write these where it surprises me. Like, that's Jacen Burrows. Oh, my goodness. Here's what he has to say. And I don't know anything about Jacen Burrows like that. I could do an impersonation, so I won't do it again. I never have more fun on a project than I do with Garth. And his work with these two characters is world-class. Burrows added, getting to bring this chapter of their saga to life was extremely exciting for me as a huge fan of those previous books. That's cool. And I think I am in the minority of artists that really enjoy the research aspect of doing a period book. He's throwing shade at a lot of artists there. I love the idea that he's just like, man, this is awesome. I really enjoy doing it. By the way, most other artists, they're lazy assholes. Not me. I love doing the book work. I do it. Not like them, those lazy assholes. I'm like, all right, Jacen, you are doing it. So getting to draw a comic set at the tail end of the Vietnam War was a fun challenge. And then I wish he said, ... all the other people are lazy assholes. I'm like, I'm with you. I almost will accept the way you spell your name now. Almost. I won't, though. But with all this, again, it's a cool little book to say. In my mind, I said that Marvel's like, hey, we realize that you guys want Frank Castle. We're not quite ready to commit fully in the current continuity the way you might want. So let's go back. And the idea that you could just say, well, if it happens during the Vietnam War back in the day with Garth Ennis, then we could do whatever we want, and that's fine. I think we're getting to the point where we need to kind of accept that we could do that in the current day as well and just give people what they want. It's one of those things that seems like, I'll even say Mary Jane, Peter being together. It's something that seems like it's such an easy thing to do for the Spider-Man fans, but they won't do it. And it's getting to the point where a lot of these characters are having that same problem. Oh my God, because of the current headlines and things no. It's your character. Do your character the way you do your character. Don't worry about other people taking the symbol or what they think this and that. It's your character. You're the one who should be able to use it for, what it is, what you get and what people love. And people do love Frank Castle as the Punisher, which goes beyond just a guy who rootin' tootin' shootin' and all that. If you get somebody like a Garth Ennis, I think that this series could be, as I said, baby steps to remind people what Frank really is about, to then bring him, because he's not just a cold-blooded murderer who's pissed off that his family died. He has a lot of honor. He does a lot of things beyond just, surface level killing. So I think that maybe that's what this could start the trend to get back to having Frank in the current day. I'd like to hear what people think and what they, if they're excited about this, and if they don't like the way that Jacen spells his name, because I hate it. But with all of that, thanks everybody for listening. Please let me know what you think of this book and the whole thing about Frank in general. And if you liked David P. Post's Joe Garrison thing, hey, you can let me know that. I don't. Maybe we'll argue. But I don't say argue. We'll discuss it. We'll discuss it like true comic book fans. There doesn't need to be fights. So let me know. And with that, thanks everybody for listening. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't, liked the video, all that nonsense. But that's it. And I will talk to you all later.